What's going on, YouTube? Mike Beckerman, founder of Reps for Recovery, here for our first ever addiction podcast. I've got my first guest over here, my guy, my sponsee, one of my good friends, Austin Coffey.
How we doing?
Excellent, man. So, Austin, you just picked up 3 months. Extremely proud of you for that.
Thank you.
So, you've been in and out of recovery before, right? You know, you've had your slip-ups and everything. What makes this last 3 months different than any other attempt you've had at recovery before?
Man, Mike, I'd have to say it starts with desperation. Man, I've hit so many different rock bottoms. But this time around, man, I'm so desperate for life. I've been existing, and no doubt, I believe everybody's existence is a blessing. But that's just not enough. You know, I've got kids, I've got family, you know, I've got brothers and sisters here in the community, and you know, really just desperation and my higher power and just the will to do this, man.
Yeah. That's what I noticed, you know, for myself, was how that gift of desperation, right, led to humility. Because I got to a point where it was like, dude, I'm willing to do anything to get sober. Literally anything. I'll listen to anyone, right, because my pride and ego, and I from sponsoring you, I know that those are two character defects of yourself, you know, to where it can be hard, right, to listen to the advice of someone else, because our brain, yeah.
Absolutely, especially, you know what's funny is I've talked to a few other guys, and you're younger than me. Mm-hmm. Don't look it, but no, but you're younger than me. Yeah, so like sometimes it's harder to listen to people that's younger than you, mm-hmm. and just kind of hear them out, and you know, like you said, we've got a lot in common, and you know, what works for you has worked for me. You know, so you've been a pretty big light for me, man.
Appreciate that, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was just making suggestions, mm-hmm. right? Not saying, hey, you got to do this, right? This is the only way. You know, it's a suggestion. Hey, try this out, right? Because that's what recovery is all about. You know, you get all these different suggestions mm-hmm. from people, right? You try a couple out, you know, see how it works. Okay, you know, I didn't really feel that one. Okay, this one. Okay, I noticed some improvement.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, and what were a couple suggestions of mine that you used, right, that helped you out?
Okay, the big one, the 40-day challenge.
Ooh, yes.
For those of you who don't know what the 40-day challenge is, that's taking a vow of celibacy for 40 days, complete, you know, for myself and others. And I'm telling you, man, that's something that really is like starting my foundation. It helped me get my mind right. It helped me get focused on me, you know, and the gym, you know, that build up testosterone.
Yes.
So that was a big one. And then like with another big one for me was the prayer thing. Like I struggled remembering to pray.
Oh, with this, put the phone underneath the bed so that you're on your knees. Yeah.
Yeah, and it works, man. And now like I pray morning, throughout the day, I pray at night, and it's like I don't miss a beat. Yeah. You know, so those small things like that. Actually, the first one is like one that I thought was impossible. But man, like once I just started to do it, and I, you know, sat and I thought to myself and I talked to myself, I realized I will do whatever it takes to be sober. I've robbed so many people of time, including myself, my kids, my moms, my grandma, and you know, it's just that's one of my most valuable things is time, and I'm not wasting no more. So those suggestions, they work, you know, and the beauty about recovery is you take what you want and you can leave the rest.
Mm. Oh yeah. So I wanted to ask you this too. Tell me about specific moments in your addiction where you were like, oh my God, like this is really out of control. Like I need help.
Oh man. For starters, hurting those that are closest to me. You know, nobody's ever really proud of their road they've walked in addiction. You know, everybody turns into somebody they're not at heart. You know, I'd say, I'd definitely say, like, I stole 2 shotguns from my uncle or my grandpa, and, you know, those were something that was going to be handed down to me. He's not here no more, you know. So that's definitely a big one. And then, you know, missing out on a lot of my kids' life. You know, I've got 3 of them, and my oldest is 9, my youngest is 4. It's just, man, it's rough, man. And family's big. Family's everything we got.
Yeah, that's the one thing I personally have seen a lot in recovery, you know, because I've seen a lot of people, they say prioritize your recovery, right, over everything else.
Sure.
Right? And I've noticed that for people that do have kids, right, I don't have any kids, so I don't have empathy for this, but I've noticed that for people that do have kids, that's usually the number one thing that I'll see them, drop everything for.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, I've seen relapses occur, like, because of it, because
man.
they prioritize the kids over them.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy.
And what's crazy is we had a meeting earlier today, and it was kind of along the lines of some of this stuff, actually. But, one of the things I said is recovery, God, recovery, and everything else, like, our man says. The big thing is, anything I've found in my own experience, anything that I put in front of my recovery, number one, I'll lose.
Yeah.
Off rip. I don't care what it is.
Speaking from experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kids, family, money, women. It don't matter. Gone. Gains. Gone.
Yeah.
Anything.
Literally. I mean, I'm only laughing because I've been in that exact, pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, to where one point, you got the college, for me it was the college degree going, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had the money, albeit a lot of the money was illegal, right? So from the outside looking in, materialistically speaking, it looked like, I was doing great, right? I had money to, buy a car, get an apartment, all these things.
Yeah.
And then eventually the addiction just got so severe and became priority number one that all my money and all my time went into it. So I stopped, bringing money in and just completely spending it until eventually now I'm pawning things off, right? And then next thing you know, I'm homeless.
Yeah.
Like, it just happens like
Listen,
that.
that's blink of an eye, man. Our MO is quite the same. Man, that's one of my biggest downfalls is women. Big time. I was in a relationship for quite a long time, this last go around, and I had a great job. I had my kids in my life, had my family trusted me.
Yeah.
And
was that the tire job?
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell you what, I was so blessed, but I got that one emotional downfall. But guess what? I didn't work a program throughout the whole entire time I was sober, and I had long-term sobriety.
Right.
So quit going to meetings, quit talking to my sponsor, quit helping people, quit praying, quit doing all these things that got me sober, things that I knew. And they always say what they say, go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And I left the basics at home.
Yeah.
When that emotion down, when we split up and I moved back in with Granny, I felt defeated. Next thing you know, I'm a workaholic and put that in front of everything, and I'm gone. I've lost it.
I like what you said, because I feel like that sums up that line. The opposite of addiction is connection.
Yeah.
Right? You said you cut off all your positive connections to where, it was just you and grandma, and then probably a lot of time alone, right?
Yeah.
And whenever you had whatever emotional craziness going on, right? Turn to the drugs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we talk about this MO of ours, right?
Right.
Significant others, and regardless of if you're male or female, right? That's an MO for a lot of people, because I've found that sex, right, it is kind of a drug in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Right? A process addiction, right? But we use it to deal with the same character defects that we use the drugs for.
Absolutely.
For our ego, right? Like, like, look at me, I can get all these pretty women or whatever, right? Look at my number, all this, bullshit, and it's just the guilt and shame that comes with that, especially if, you have sex with someone that's not emotional, right? It's materialistic, and, that goes both ways, obviously, right? Females with males and males with females. It's just the feeling afterwards is just horrible.
Shame sets in, man.
Yeah,
Big time.
literally immediately after it's just, oh my God. But that's where that 40-day challenge, I think, kicks in, right? Because during that 40-day challenge, right, correct me if I'm wrong, but with your current relationship, that's when you started to build like that emotional connection with her, right? Knowing that, hey, I'm celibate right now, but let's build an emotional connection, right? So that when we do get to the part of being physical and such, right, it's more healthy, right? And we're bonding physically for the right reasons rather than, like I said, to deal lustfully deal with the ego and all that.
Yeah. No, you're spot on, man. And honestly, like, it's weird to thank you for that, but dude, thank you, because like you're right. Like our whole relationship is actually based. You ever heard about the 3 chords? You know, you got one person, you got another person, and then okay, so you take one chord, right, and you can snap that like string in half, right?
Right.
Take 2 strings, wind it together. It's a little tougher, but you could snap it in half.
Yeah.
Well, you take 3 strings, wind it together, right, and it's almost impossible to pull apart because they're so strong. They're so strong when they're woven together.
Okay.
Well, the 3 strings represent, you know, me, my girl, and God.
Oh, shit! I like that actually.
Yeah, and it's tough to break if you both are really committed to God, you know, and that's what this whole thing's about, man. Find that spiritual foundation, and really you helped me with everything getting to there. You know, I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to work these steps. I didn't know how to, you know, change my thoughts or my or how to even cope with feelings or how to talk about them for that matter. You know, and all these things like that 40-day challenge comes to play big time. And now like this relationship I have is based on the right things like you were just talking about. It's not based on, you know, I'm trying to see, you know, how pretty of a girl I can get, or, you know, I'm feeling down about myself. I want to just go use her just to, you know, make me feel better and then feel like more shit in the end of it.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's, you touched on what my favorite part about recovery is, right? Especially if you look at the 12 steps in believing there's something greater than ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. It's a spiritual program. Right? Religion or any of that, like, it's not forced down your throat, right? It's, you know, your spirituality is completely unique to you, right? It's not like you got to the second step, right? I come in and I go, all right, you got 4 options, right? Christianity, Judaism, right? Islam, or Scientology, right? And then you're sitting there thinking, well, you know, Tom Cruise was pretty sick in Mission Impossible. I think I'm going to pick Scientology, right? No. Right. You know, it's completely unique to you, how you communicate with it. You know, you just, and if anything, like I said, one of our character defects is the ego, right? Mm-hmm. So believing there's something greater than ourselves is like the #1 ego basher.
Absolutely.
Right then and there.
Absolutely. For a while in my addiction, I assumed I was God. I was my own higher power. I made my decisions. I controlled my next steps, my future. And me and this God guy at the time.
This God guy.
This guy. we didn't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
You know? And for one, I couldn't see him. You know? So it's kind of hard to believe. I had no faith in anything. You know? Lost where I was going. But, you know, it's been a blessing, man. Really just understanding that I'm not God. I don't have to be God. I don't have to carry that weight. That's a lot of pressure.
I know, but you touched up on it with that line, you know, it's hard to believe in something I can't see.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And for me personally, my higher power at first was love, right? Because I could actually see acts of love, and I could feel acts of love, right? Sure. If they were done for me, or if I witnessed it, you know, and then the same for the opposite, right? I could see acts of hate, I could feel acts of hate.
Absolutely.
You know, and then eventually just kind of evolved to where, you know, when I was praying to it, right? Okay, now I'm establishing a line of communication, right? And then next thing you know, okay, I came up with my personal label for it, which was God. You know, it was just simple, you know, and to this day, you know, that's where I talk about that word enthusiasm.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, that's what you feel in, you know, in meetings and all that. You know, you feel the enthusiasm when someone really doesn't hold back. They're just strictly honest, and you can tell that they've gone through the struggle, right? But there's something about them, like, and you get that feeling, right? Yeah. That enthusiasm with the Latin root entheos, God within.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's a different, more natural feeling than something like excitement. Because when I personally think of excitement, I think of when we were in our addiction, right? The excitement of getting another drug, right? The excitement of, you know, hustling up the money in order to then get the drug, or, you know, to, you know, chase after the woman, you know, all these things, right? That's excitement, you know, the gambling, right?
Yeah.
But the enthusiasm is the natural, organic feeling that I get, right? Especially like when I connect with another person in recovery.
Absolutely.
You know, because there's no, what I call it, like elevator talk, right? It's not like, oh, you know, how's the weather? No, like, we're going to talk about some deep stuff, and we're really going to bond, and we're going to make suggestions for one another based off our own experience and build from it.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's definitely, you know, it brings to mind, like, I haven't really got to experience a whole lot of like intimate things. You know, because like everybody thinks like intimacy is like just sexual, you know, encounters, but it's not, man. It's so much more than that, dude. You know, we've shared intimate, you know, things together through this process.
Not like that, bro.
No. Wrong kind of gains. Anyway, we have, man, and those are things like not everybody gets to experience. You know, another one is, you know, making, you know, a step 9 to my grandma. Dude, that was awesome, man.
Making amends. Yeah, you called me right after that and told me about how powerful that moment was. Yeah,
I've got chills. I can't see I'm wearing sleeves, but I got chills, bro. It's awesome.
Break it down.
Let's see. The first time I ever went through recovery, I didn't work any steps. I didn't even really know there was a thing called steps. I was just stepping my feet towards the meeting, and I went to a couple, and I was like, it's not for me. Okay.
Okay.
But these amends, man, I worked them once, and I kind of was bullshit. Yeah, I'm sorry, you know, but no one wants to hear I'm sorry. How many times have I said I'm sorry? I've ran that word into the dirt.
Yeah.
You know,
Infinite.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So like that word doesn't mean anything. It holds zero value, and honestly, like I don't want that in my vocabulary at all. Like it has no weight. So like the beauty it was like I've never like every time I've done something to my family or my grandma, you know, I've never owned it. Ever. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm just, no, I didn't do that. And she knows, she knows I did.
Wasn't me.
No. We took Prince, it's you.
Yeah.
Can't be. Who had my hand, you know? But, so like for the first time in my life, you know, I brought up situations and things that have happened, and, you know, I'm like, I know I've done these things. Mm-hmm. You know, I realize, I see that, I've reflected on it, and that was crap. You don't deserve it. But this is what I'm doing today. You know, I've got a great sponsor. You know, I've really been working these steps. First time I ever worked my steps that I've wrote something down for every step. You know, writer's cramp.
Yeah.
4-step first time, completely and open, honest, and thorough. You know, I didn't leave anything out. And that's my mistake I made the last time I worked the steps, is I wasn't thorough. Yeah. I was not rigorously honest.
Yeah.
I half-assed it, you know. It says that, you know, half measures are no good. You know, it won't. We will not, you know, be able to grow and be where we need to be to continue to have long-term sobriety. But her reaction, like, I will never forget her face. Like, she had tears, of course. She was bawling, but her face had so much love and compassion because I was owning it and I was telling her what I was doing, and she could see it in my life today. You know, like I don't miss work. I've you know, paying, you know, my child support. I'm doing my responsibility things that I've never really done a whole lot of. You know, I mean I have, but it's never been like I am today. You know. And my experiences like with God and my relationship with Him, and I go to church. I've been baptized. Like I'm dedicating my life to this, because like I'm tired of failing not only everybody else, but I'm tired of failing myself. Right. You know, I've overdosed 18 times. Yeah. I've been hit with Narcan. I don't know how many times. God's got a purpose for me. Yeah. You know, and my God may not be your God, but my God is good to me, and He loves, and He's merciful, and He's forgiving, and He's allowed me to have this moment with my grandma that I didn't get with my grandpa. Right. You know, so like this meant everything. Right. You know, and in one of our readings, you know, it talks about we'll be amazed for it's halfway through, and I believe that's talk about the promises being, you know, coming true to your life. And I believe that's talking about the promises will start coming true, and you'll be amazed about it before you're halfway through your 9th step. Mm-hmm. And I believe that because you got to put work in. Yeah. You know, you can't just say, hey, I'm going to go to some meetings and expect, you know, your life to get better. You know, it's like, I'm not a big Bible guy, but in Matthew, in the Bible, in chapter 13, verse 1, it starts talking about the farmer and the seed. And I'll give you a quick, it's an awesome parable. I can't go out right now and put a cornstalk seed in the ground and wake up tomorrow and expect to go pull an ear of corn off that stalk. Right? It takes time. It takes patience. It takes nurturing. It takes, you know, watering and the fertilizer and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, same thing with our lives. Right. You know, we can't just go run the streets and do all this hectic stuff and then decide we want to start doing better and automatically start having good things happening for us right now. We gotta work, man. We gotta pay for some of that bad shit. Right. We got to. Yeah. But a lot of us, I've come to see, just for being in recovery off and on for so long, I've seen so many people get this in their head, like, oh, I'm doing good now. but they saw a little bad happen to them, like, well, what's the point? Bad still happens to them, I'm doing good, so they give up and go back out. And unfortunately, they end up dead or locked up or institutions. And it's sad, man. We got to stay with it. Like, how bad do we want this?
Yeah, I love what you said there about practicing that patience, right? Because I remember after like a month or two, I just expect everything to be, like it was when I was, before I even started using drugs, right?
Yeah.
I expect everybody to, oh, Mike's good again, he's fine, whatever. And I remember like about 2 months in, I think I visited home or something, and I could still see it like in my parents' eyes.
I remember when you went.
Yeah, I could still see it in my parents' eyes that they didn't trust me, right?
Sure.
Like they were still very careful with everything, and I'm just thinking like, guys, I'm good, like to the point where I'm getting frustrated with it,
Absolutely.
right? But that was a good moment, eye-opener for me, like, you know what? I gotta practice patience, because what is those 2 months of recovery, considering for me the 10 years of just absolute insanity from, age about 15 to almost, 24, so 9 years
Absolutely.
of just absolute craziness, bullshit, that to this day, or the more recovery time I get, the more I realize how fucked up it is what I did, not only to myself, but to everybody who's close to me,
Absolutely.
especially my parents.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I struggle with that a lot too. Not so much now because, like my family, like the ones that I really care about, the ones that's in my circle, that have seen me down that path, like when you really dedicate yourself, and you know this, when you really dedicate yourself and surrender, not only to the program, but to God, to your sponsor, to suggestions, things like that. And I'm not talking about surrendering, get on your hands and knees and beg for forgiveness, but you surrender and listen, you open your heart, and you open your mind, and you soften, and you become willing, right? When you do that, people see that change, and not only do they see it, but they can feel it. And you don't have to be next to them, but they can, it's just there, right. And like my first go around, like it took a long time. Like when I was sober for that first, year or so, man, it took, I'd say a good 6 months before my grandma let me come back to her house. 6 months, and I was sponsoring guys by that time. And, this time, she's told me, she's like, hey, you're getting overnights now, right? And I'm like, yeah, I just phased up. And she's like, well, great. So when you want to come stay with your kids at my house, you let me know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So she's like, you're welcome anytime, and that's awesome, man. Like tomorrow, I'm gonna go to my mom's, my niece's birthday party, so like, that's awesome, man. I'm getting more involved with my family, and family's so big to me, man. And you ain't gotta be blood to be family. Your family, your family. You're locked in, bro. You ain't going nowhere.
Locked in.
Locked in.
Hell yeah.
So like it's big, man. This is big stuff.
Yeah, my sponsor dropped. My old sponsor dropped a line on me from Chicago, and he goes, "Mike, it's gonna be 5 years in sobriety and recovery before you really realize how fucked up you once were."
Right.
And that's true, right? Because we're so used to being in that vicious cycle. We were in it for years and years, that addict mindset, running on self-will, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
To where now we have to do the equal amount of time in the recovery cycle, right? Until that becomes our norm.
Right.
Because even though right now, right, we're feeling great, we got some time, a little bit of time under our belt, right? Our norm is still, right, the addict mindset.
Absolutely.
If you just compare the times together. It's that saying, 10,000 or 10 miles into the woods, right, 10 miles out. There's no shortcuts to this.
Right.
But, you take it a day at a time, right? And the next thing you know, you got X amount of time, and then, now I'm celebrating a year.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm celebrating multiple years, whatever.
My buddy Mark that came here the other day, he won't mind me saying this. Mark's one of my best friends. I've known him for a long time. That guy has been through so much, and I like what everything he says is amazing. He's got 13 years in this, sober game. He's a light to everybody, but he's been through so much, like what he went through, with his wife, and just how many people he's gotten close to that's in addiction, that's died, and he's had to put in the ground. Like he says, there's no excuse for relapse.
Right.
And legitimately, there's not. Once you get on this side, it's hard, man. And I say this a lot. It's easy to go out there and get fucked up. It's easy to go out there, get high, get drunk. Blow money at the casino. Downgrade. get with all these women, do whatever, but it takes a bad motherfucker to get sober
to quit.
and stay sober,
Yeah.
to come in these rooms day in and day out and better themselves. It takes a bad motherfucker, because it's not easy. By far the easiest thing, like the hardest thing I've ever done.
Right.
But it's worth it. Like, my life's great today. I got real relationships all the way around. Every kind of relationship you have, I've got good ones. That mean something, that are genuine. And are going to be long term. Relationships. I got futures with these people. And I'm not willing to give it up.
Yeah.
I don't think I have another recovery. I'm tired, man.
Right. And I mentioned what he said when I saw him get his 13 years, right? He said, I'm not doing this for me, it's for everybody else in the room, right? Because it gives hope that this can be done. And then in addition, right, hearing his story, hearing everything that he went to, right? I mean, 13 years is impressive, don't get me wrong. But in addition, hearing about all that madness that even happened during his sobriety and that he stayed sober through, that's hope right there.
Yeah.
That's hope to a fucking T.
Absolutely. And some of those things I've went out and used over.
Yeah.
I've relapsed over stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It just blows my mind to hear somebody that has went through all these things and they stayed that strong and are still kicking forward and moving forward and trying to help, but it's all because of the program. It's all because of the program and relationships we build in it.
Yeah.
And like he was talking about, opposite of addiction is connections. And I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've made more friends in recovery than I ever did. And true friends.
Real friends.
Because it was really quick in addiction to recognize, who was real and who wasn't. And usually the real ones were the ones that weren't using drugs at all. They were the ones that were generally concerned for you. It was like, hey, dude, you should probably stop this. And you're like, but, I'll be back in 5. Like,
Where's your restroom?
Where's your restroom? Oh, no windows, crap. Trying to make an escape.
Oh, no.
Dude. Well, you know what, man? Thank you so much for being on this podcast, brother.
Man,
I love you. I'm proud of you. And with that, Reps for Recovery representative Mike Beckerman here with my guest Austin Coffey. Big shout out to Grace Recovery and Wellness.
Absolutely. Saved my life.
Hell yeah. Same here. Thanks so much, guys.